I'm Catherine. Welcome to my Making Adventure video podcast where I try to share my adventures with a variety of crafts, knitting, crochet. I've done some embroidery. I have knitting and crochet updates for you today. I live in the rural Midwest of the United States with my family. I am a wife, a mother, and a teacher, as well as a knitter. Thank you for watching my podcast today. I can also be found on Instagram and Ravelry at My Making Adventure. First things first, this is my finished object, my first finished object. I actually have two. This is my Aosta Summer top by the Knit Purl girl. And I knit it in Yarn Bee Bambootiful, which is a DK weight cotton bamboo viscose blend. I'm going to stand up so you can see it. It has this beautiful stitch pattern on it. I knit mine pretty long because I like things long. Pickup for the sleeves was meh for me. I tried, I'll probably have to stand up again to show you more, but I tried the second time I've done a garment where I have to pick up the sleeves, and both times I did the chili dog tutorial for picking up extra stitches on the underarm. I felt like last time it was a little bit more crisp of a pickup than this time. This yarn is maybe just a little bit finicky. I did see, like, here's where I changed yarn and I must not have gotten it going the right direction. So there's a little hole there. I think I could fix that if I took the time and energy. I have woven in my ends, and because the yarn is so slippery, I tied them together. All of my ends are woven and knotted because I didn't want them to slip out. So I suspect that I could go back and finish some things, but I haven't washed it or blocked it. I've worn it to work one day. That was really fun. But yeah, so this is the Aosta Summer top by the Knit Purl girl. I knit the size 3XL. I knit it extra long. It's recommended to have like 0, I think, to -2 inches of ease, and mine obviously feels like it maybe still has some positive ease. So I mean, that is what it is. What else do I just say? I did a lot of knitting on it in the car, and it was good for that. Like, it's good, but I wanted to try it on, and I had to keep like waiting for when we were gonna stop. I had to make sure I was like wearing a tank top so I could try it on our car trip. We went camping. I'm excited to add this to my wardrobe. It does feel like the yarn has already pulled a little bit. I don't know if this is gonna show up on the camera, but like, see if I can show you this. Like, this little, it's not, the spin of the yarn, probably because it's cotton and bamboo, doesn't stay spun very well. It doesn't like stick together, and so it comes unspun fairly easily, and little plies of it kind of are easy to catch and get off. I didn't find it super difficult like when working a garment like this, but if you were doing like a lot of knit two togethers or different techniques, like different than just like knitting and purling and making one left and right, it might be harder. I say that because I'm trying, this looks really silly, I'm trying to make like a little hair bow with the leftovers, and that so I'm just freehanding this. I decreased and I had trouble with all of the knit two togethers. So then I was gonna kind of go long and then increase it in so that it could be tied around a pony for my daughter and her friend. So that was the goal that I was trying there, but I did find the nature of the yarn to be, maybe you can see there, like one of the strands, yeah. One of the strands didn't get caught right or pulled differently. But, so that is what I'm wearing. My next finished object is my March hat. Ta-da! I had cast this on last time and nobody told me how fast knitting up a hat in a worsted plus weight would be, but I think I finished this in a week. I'm gonna double check because it was so fast and so fun, and it has like a little bit of texture there that is, I think it was an 8-round repeat. They did 5 times. It went so quick. I maybe wish that it had been 1 more time. The hat feels unbalanced to me. It might grow some if I wash it, and I haven't washed it. 10 days I worked on this hat. It does the pattern. This, sorry, I didn't even tell you. This is the March hat by Meghan Babin, which was part of Kelborn Woolen's Year of Hats in 2019. So I knit this with yarn I had left over from a cardigan I crocheted, I think like in February of this year. Do I have to try it on? I didn't quite meet gauge, but I liked this fabric better than if I were to try to meet gauge. So I went ahead and I modified it a little bit. I cast on a different number of stitches. I do wish that this part of the hat was longer, I think, compared to the ribbing. But, like, I mean, if I'm not folding up the brim, I obviously have plenty of room. If I try to fold it up, then I don't have enough, really, because my ears are not even feeling covered right now. The hat pattern does call for a palm at the top, and I just chose not to do it at this point. I might do it later. I didn't feel like this. It's Hobie yarn, and it's their Tweed Delight. I just didn't feel like this sort of airy yarn would make, it's quite airy, I feel like. I didn't feel like it would make a very good pom by itself, a little pom-pom. So I don't have a pom-pom maker either, but I made one by hand before. I thought, where did it go? That if I did some of the main color with some of this for a pom-pom, that would look nice. But I'm waiting to get my ball winder so I can ball this up and then see what I think about it. This I'm going to use to make a muscle bra for my husband when I get my ball winder, which is in the mail. So, anything more? I feel like hats are the thing to do. I felt so successful and so productive when I was making this. It flew. It was like way quicker than a garment. I don't like wearing hats that much, but I might be knitting a lot of hats because that was a lot of fun. I do find like that casting on is not the funnest part of any project. And this was like a tubular cast on, which made it even a little bit more finicky. So perhaps I haven't started another hat because I don't enjoy the casting on process. And it's like cast on and bind off within 10 days, whereas like my garments have taken me 2 months. So I don't have to go through the casting on repeatedly. But perhaps I wouldn't need to do a tubular cast on. More on that when I get to my widths. that's my March hat. And I felt good because I used up some of my leftovers. But you can't ever use them all up, can you? I still have this whole 50-gram ball plus some extras. So, I mean, these I had knit up for my swatch, and I thought I was gonna run out of this. I didn't want to break into the 100-gram, so I took out my swatch, but then I didn't even end up needing it. I could weigh those. I'll probably use this for the palm. So I will have 50 grams to do something with at some point, but I don't know yet. Leftover yarns are going to be the challenge, I see. I have quite a bit of this from my Aosta Summer top left over too. This yarn bee. Maybe 100 grams, but I'm making some little bows right now, so we'll start there. Okay, those are my 2 finished objects. I also did knit a dishcloth, but I gave it away, so I have nothing to show you, and it was a simple project. I didn't make a project page on Ravelry for it or anything. I gave it away to our friends that we visited when we were camping. All right, then I have 2 works in progress to share with you. So the first is something that I've been promising my daughter for a while, and I just decided I needed to do it. And that is a purple cardigan. This winter I crocheted each of my daughter a pullover, and it fit, the one I made for my 1.5-year-old fit her really well, and it looks really good and professional. The one that I crocheted for my 3-year-old, I didn't like that much. She loves it, she wears it all the time. I didn't like the way the colors turned out because it was just using yarn I had, acrylic yarn that I had, and I didn't like the way that it fit her. I felt like the body was too short and the sleeves were too long. So I promised her that I would knit her another one. And she really wanted purple. And since I'm knitting them Christmas pullovers, I thought a purple cardigan would be nice. And so the other day when I had cast off this and hadn't cast on my next whip yet, I decided to start this for her. I had already purchased the yarn. I got like from our local Walmart, Red Heart Super Saver Ombre Purple worsted weight acrylic yarn. And I looked for a free pattern and I couldn't be bothered. I found one, I was gonna start it. It felt too complicated. So I'm winging it. This could end up really bad or it could end up just fine. I have confidence at this point that we'll be okay. I did make a really rookie mistake last night that I'll share with you in a moment. I'm doing bottom up, so I started with like all of it together. So this part here will be a front panel, and then the back, and then another front panel. So this is sort of the plan right now. I'm not sure that I will add buttons, but I will add ribbing or a button band. And I'm not sure what I will do at the hem. I have some thoughts at the bottom of doing a ribbing and some thoughts of doing like a scalloped edge at the bottom. And I will say I'm probably leaning more towards the scalloped edge. This is a really simple, I'm doing like single crochet, US terms, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and then I go single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, and then do the double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. So that's what I did. And I'm just measuring it around her and measuring it up her back. And I have just recently started splitting my sections. Because it's an ombre, I'm now like splitting my yarn a lot. So I didn't want like this panel to be light colored and the back to be dark and this panel to be dark, because I thought that would thought that would look funny. So I'm trying not to cover my mouth while I am talking. So I'm just kind of doing like 2 or 3 rows over here and then 2 or 3 rows over there because I now have the 3 sections. This is where I messed up last night. I was planning on decreasing just a little bit on the front panels to make it more comfortable around her neck after I added a ribbing band. And I did my decrease over here in the underarm instead of in the front. I did the same thing on this other side, and I've already fixed this side. So the stitch markers mark my decreases. I'm really planning on decreasing a total of 5 stitches over like 10 rounds. So it won't, 10 rows. It won't be super significant, I don't think, but I think it will add a slight bit of comfort that will make it more wearable, especially because the yarn is stiff. It's not going to drape very well. So that's where I'm at right now. And this is how much yarn I have left. I had given away part of the skein thinking I had plenty because I knit her a sweater from leftovers of acrylic before. And now it's looking like I'm gonna have to go out and buy more. So the label says that it was 10 ounces or 283 grams of yarn. I don't know how much of that I saved for myself versus how much I gave away. But I was already hoping to do like the finishing in like white maybe. But then I was like, 3-year-old white cuffs is probably not a good idea. So I might see if I can finish the body in this and then get like a light purple for the sleeves and the finishing. Even this particular red heart is not as soft as other red heart yarn that I've had before. So even maybe like a light gray or dark gray that's softer. I think I could find a purple that's like a baby yarn that I might be able to work for the ribbing and the cuffs and the bottom. So that is Ruthie's purple cardigan. I am using a 6mm crochet hook. That's the biggest that I had easily accessible. I felt like it was working out okay with the stitches. And I do love the ombre purple. So I do feel if I got like a solid purple for the sleeves, that would be okay. She's not going to care, it's me who cares. She loves the other sweater I crocheted her. I am not sure when I started this. If I documented it. September 26th, and today is the 30th. So this is like 3 or 4 days worth of work. I have worked on it a little bit today, and there was a whole nother day where she wouldn't let me try it on her, so I couldn't do any more until she was ready. They really run the show when they are 3, in case you were wondering. All right, also, since I filmed last, I received the yarn that I had ordered for the girls' Christmas sweaters. And I ordered like a sampling of the Swish DK so I could get a good visual of what the colors were and then decide what to use. So I was leaning towards a gray, and these are the 2 grays that I ordered. I was expecting this one is Squirrel Heather. I was actually expecting it to show up a little bit more of a brown or an oatmeal gray. So I wasn't in love with it. So I decided to go with this Dove Heather, I think is the colorway. And then I ordered 3 options for contrast colors. This one is Rainforest Heather. This one is Marine Heather. And this one is Garnet Heather. This blue is way brighter than I wanted. And it's also not heathered. Like these ones are heathered. Oh, that lighting. And you can see the heathering in those. This one is almost entirely solid. So I used this one to knit my swatch to see if I could meet gauge for the pattern that I was planning on casting on, which was the Sibling sweater. So this is with US size 6 needles. This was my swatch. And I was, after blocking or washing, I actually washed it in the washing machine and set it out to dry because that's what I will do with their sweaters. 20 stitches per inch, and the pattern needed 22. So I was like, well, that isn't gonna work. So then I swatched with US size 5 needles, which I think are 3.75 millimeter. And this works a lot better. So I went ahead. It's still like 21 and a half stitches maybe. So, but I think it'll be good enough. I went ahead and I was getting ready to purchase the Sibling sweater pattern. And I became aware of the fact that the smallest size of that pattern will not fit my baby, my 1.5-year-old child, who is an itty bitty baby. So she's 1.5 years, but she's teeny tiny. And so I measured their chest circumference and their belly circumference to see what size would be best for each of them for the Sibling sweater. And sadly, my babies would have to have like 4 or 5 inches of positive ease, which was on the high end of what was recommended. And I was worried that my gauge was going to make it even bigger. So I decided that that wasn't the pattern for us this year. Next year I can knit it, and I can knit myself one too because she's releasing the adult size of the Sibling sweater. So that's what I told the girls, and I told myself. Also, I don't know if I shared the whole drama of my 3-year-old deciding which sweater she actually wanted me to knit. She did not originally want me to knit her a striped sweater. But when I was talking about knitting her sister's striped sweater, then she wanted one. But then I convinced her that it would be okay to not have a striped sweater. So my 3-year-old picked to have this red Garnet Heather for her sweater, and that her sister could have the green. And we jumped right back to, it took me only a day to recover from realizing I couldn't use the Sibling sweater. And I purchased the Bean and Olive sweater pattern from Andrea Mowry. This is the one of the ones I have been looking at the whole time. I just have never done color work before. I've never done stripes before, and stripes felt like a smarter choice. I've never done a yoke sweater, I've only done raglans, but the Sibling sweater has even a different construction. So it was like, there's gonna be a lot going on no matter what I do. Color work felt like a lot to manage, but I've done it. I cast it on the second size for my baby Essie. It looks so tiny, but it fits over her head. I actually accidentally cast on the size 3, and then in the first increase round, I increased evenly to get the size 2 size because I didn't want the increased round for the size 3 was going to be like 4 inches bigger at that part than the size 2. And I was like, she's not that big. So I jumped right back to the size 2. But this is a little bit, this has 8 more stitches, I think, than is recommended. Look at that. I did that recently. Today is Saturday. I think I cast on Wednesday or Thursday. I think Thursday. And I guess obligatory float viewing. I didn't do a significant amount of research on color work. I consider all of my previous video watching where people talk about color work to be my research. So I did carry some of the floats. I really, because I'm new and I didn't want my floats to make it tighter because I was already knitting, you know, a size that I knew was going to fit her right now. I picked up to carry floats like every 3 or 4 stitches. I don't know what's standard or what's recommended, but that's why some of this is like really tight. It's not intense color work, but like within these hearts, I was picking up a couple times. And I think that's okay. I also was really careful not to pick up in the same column multiple rows in a row. So sometimes that meant like maybe a little bit more picking up than would be necessary. I think I have another increase round before finishing the yoke and splitting for sleeves. I am, however, slightly concerned about bleeding. And I knew I needed to figure that out beforehand, but I was too excited. When I was thinking about stripes, I knew I needed to think about bleeding. But then when I switched to color work, I guess I didn't. I was even planning on like swatching striped, but I didn't want to waste the yarn that I really was going to use, which is dumb. Because now I have all of this done, and my plan is to put this on a barber cord and wash it tonight. Like block it tonight with a color catcher and see if I'm good to go. And then I will keep knitting on that. So that is the plan. And this is Bean and Olive by Andrea Mowry, size 2 of the pattern. And I am knitting it on US 5 3.75 millimeter needles to get close to the 22 stitches per 4-inch gauge recommended. My stitch stoppers are from Birch and Lily, and I love them. And the barber cord that I'm going to use to soak it is also from Birch and Lily. I really hope that I don't have any issues with bleeding, because I want to just continue and finish this soon and cast on my other daughters. I did order a bunch more of this yarn so that I can finish the sweaters. Her size needs, this size needs 3 balls of the main color and only like 20 ounces of the contrast color. So I will have those extra balls soon. I ordered, it's from Knit Picks, Swish DK, and I ordered enough for both sweaters, I think. And I also ordered a ball winder, a cheap one from there. So then I can, this one, she needs like 45 grams of contrast color or something for the size 5. I don't remember exactly. The size I'm going to knit her needs more of the contrast color. And so I'm a little more worried about if this one skein will be enough or not, but we're gonna try it. Most of the color work is in the yoke right here. Like I've done 85% of the color work. These little hearts repeat at the end of the sleeves. So I feel like I probably can get through her color work with this, and if I run out, it might just be the sleeves. Also, there are two different, this is the smaller zigzag pattern, and the larger sizes have a little bit of a wider zigzag pattern. So I could maybe swap it out if I was really worried about it. Or I could just order another ball. But it takes a couple, you know, it takes a couple days to get it. So those are my current works in progress. None of them are for me, which feels really weird because as someone who is like exclusively knit for themselves, it's a little weird. That is also one of my acquisitions, was that stuff from Knit Picks, and I'm getting more, but it probably won't be a big deal to show you what I'm getting. I also ordered, where did I put it? Lion Brand Fisherman's Wool, because I've heard great things about it, and because Marianne of Buy and Woo said I should try it, and I like the price point for possibly my husband's sweater. I knit it up with, I only have a small needle set up to size 8 needles. So I knit a swatch on my size 8 needles, and I have not blocked it yet. And I'm not sure. It is not meaning gauge for the Storm sweater by Petite Knit that I'm hoping to knit for him. I don't remember what the gauge I got was or how close it was because I haven't blocked it. So I was going to wait. It's also, maybe if I block it, it will be softer. Does that happen? Does yarn get softer when you block it? He's going to be slightly more sensitive, probably even than me. I'm going to be sensitive to the itchiness if it's hot. So I haven't thought too much or worried too much about it, but this is a possibility and a new yarn that I have. I also saw today that there might be a discount on woolly knit cones again. I was reading Marlene, her post on Instagram. I think she had a discount code for woolly knits cones through this week. And so I might try some of their yarn, but I think it's like a fingering weight. So I'd have to hold it double, in which case maybe I could get gauge for a Storm sweater. I guess I don't know what their wool is. Is it a merino wool? What weight their merino wool is, or their British wool in their cones. So that's something that's on my radar that I'm thinking about trying. I wanted to get some this spring when Rebecca from the Crayabea had a discount going and a promotion going for woolly knit cones, but I just couldn't splurge on that when I really didn't know. I was still a very beginner knitter, and I was still working on my coloring book tee. I'm still a very beginner knitter, but this was like the beginning. I had not yet finished a garment. I didn't know what I was going to do with 500 grams of wool or cotton, but I would really like to try their wool. So I'm thinking about placing an order there, but I don't know about how we'll come out with shipping. I have to look into that. That was a long rambly story about how I might order more yarn. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, the last thing in regards to hopeful plans is the Fruitful Hands podcast announced a Fall into Ranunculus make along, and I want to do it. I didn't want to make the ranunculus when I saw it the first 100 times, but I've seen like 150 of them now, and I want to make one. But like I said, I only have up to size 8 needles, and the Ranunculus has a large stitch gauge. So I either have to modify, like I either have to figure out, calculate what size to knit with a gauge like this, or I have to modify. No, or I have to get new needles. And so then the debate comes, do I buy the whole set? Because I have Chowgu. So do I buy the whole large set? Right now I have this small set, so it's size 2 to size 8. And it has cords and everything you need for those sizes. But then my second set, the large set, goes from 9, 10, 10 and a half, 11, and 13, I think. Maybe 15. It's 6 needles, 6 pairs of needles, and then 3 cords. So then do I just like buy the whole set? So I have 9s and 10s and 10s and a halves, and but like, or do I just buy a size 10 needle and see if I can meet gauge to make the Ranunculus? So that's the debate going on in my Amazon cart right now. And it would be fun to have something going for myself for the fall. So yeah, I think that's all. Let me know if you're doing any knit-alongs right now. There's a lot of sock knit-alongs going on, but I don't have any sock yarn. Well, I don't have enough sock yarn for a pair of socks. So, and I kind of feel like I have my hands full with our Christmas knitting right now. I also have a hat that I will probably be casting on this month. And I was watching an Italian knitter podcaster, and she shared her, I have the pattern literally in front of me. I can't find the name of it. She has a pattern for an Italian summer scarf that looks really pretty. And I thought I might do it with my Birch and Lily one skein yarn. So those are things that are like on my radar that I might do. I know it's not summer, but it's really not going to be scarf weather around here very often. So a summer scarf might be a good fit for this. It has some lace, some eyelets in it. I don't think it counts all the way as lace. It has eyelets in it. And so it would be like loose and airy and not super warm. The problem is I don't know that I would actually wear it. I don't like things around my neck. So that is on my radar. What are you working on? What are your fall plans? What make-alongs are you participating in? Thank you for joining me today. I hope you will have happy and peaceful making adventures before we're back together, and God bless.